tomorrow may not bring that same thing that you said last night. Woo! Every time I find a little piece of mind, I hold on tight. 'Cause tomorrow may not bring the very same thing. No, no, no. Said none of the right there. You that can all. Just for me, I'm so glad that you that can all. Just for me, I'm so glad that you that can all. For a sinner like me.
Hello, how are you doing, Roderick Juniel?
I'm good. How are you?
Simply fantastic, and thank you for asking. We know that you are here in Denver, Colorado. We know that you were the first Black fire chief here in Denver, Colorado. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I thank you so much, and I'm humbled that you stopped and you came and given us this time. Well, what we would like to talk about, if you don't mind, is kind of what happened that got you involved in the firefighting and led you down this path.
Okay. I was working for the Model Cities program back in the late 60s, early 70s. And the program was looking for a recruiter for the police department and the fire department. There was a consent decree that was passed that required Denver to hire Black police officers and Black firefighters. And the consent decree was requiring that for every white person that was hired, that they had to hire a Black or brown person. So as a recruiter, I was out recruiting individuals to come on the fire department. I looked at all the benefits and I decided that this was a good job for me. So I decided to apply. I applied for the department. I passed the written test. I passed the physical agility test. I passed the background investigation and the polygraph test. Tests that I took were tests in order to get on the fire department.
Okay.
So those tests, I passed all those tests and I was waiting to get on. I was on the eligibility list and I got called in, and the secretary of the Civil Service Commission told me that he had some bad news, that I was not going to be able to go on the job because I had a rare back disease called spina bifida, and that I could be, his words, crippled or dead within a month as a result of this disease.
Here you are, a young man at this time, and then you're told that you have this devastating disease, and that's why you're not eligible or equipped to be a fireman.
That's what they told me. So after that, I went home and talked to my wife, let her know what was going on. And she was the one that encouraged me to, let's go see our doctor.
Amen.
We went to our doctor, and our doctor said, spina bifida is a birth disease, and that if you had that, you would have known it at birth, and you do not have it, period. So I went back to them with documentation that I did not have the disease, and they said, well, we still can't put you on.
Wait.
I got an attorney.
Wait, before you got an attorney. So after, is there a reason why they wouldn't take the other doctor's word, or did it have anything to do with the color thing, do you feel at that time?
Well, this was Denver, 1974,
Well,
under a mayor that was not very cordial to the Black community or cordial to integration of the fire service. So, what would you think?
I think that you went through everything and they came up with something to prevent you from being a fireman, and that's what I think. I think it's like you said, the climate, the atmosphere. Because what you're saying is that you went to your doctor, and here's the thing, you were given a diagnosis that could not be a real diagnosis by a doctor. And then after you brought this up, I think is where you're getting ready to tell us then you had to get an attorney. I mean, is your doctor the only one in the medical field that knows that this is something that happens at birth?
Well, no, he's not.
Okay.
And it wasn't only me. Another example was before I got on, there were, I think, a couple of other Black firefighters that were on the job, and they asked them to cut their hair. They had afros, and they asked them to cut their hair, and they refused to cut their hair. They fired them. So that was the atmosphere in Denver at that time.
What is it with some people that are intimidated with black hair or afros?
I don't know if it's so much that they're intimidated. I think it's more so a method of discouraging you from continuing on.
I call it a discrimination. I call it just blatant telling you anything just to get you out the way. So bring us up to speed. You were saying you went and got an attorney.
I went and got my attorney, and it was 2 years later that we were in court on a Friday afternoon in January. And the judge said, "You put him on immediately," meaning immediately. And that Sunday, I was assigned to Station 4 at 1875 Lawrence Street, 7:30 in the morning. I was there for duty. No training, no orientation, nothing. Just you're there. I think the thought was that he'll decide to quit, and we'll just run him out. But I had a captain that was really a supportive guy, and he was encouraging me to continue on, and so I did. But on Super Bowl Sunday, 1976, I was in the fire station, and they told me that they had this system that the probationaries, that's what I was, probationaries, they couldn't eat with everybody else. So I had to eat out at the watch desk, and everybody else ate in the kitchen.
Were you the only minority?
Oh, yeah. In those days, there weren't enough Black firefighters that you would have 2 Black firefighters in the same station. That was very rare. So, as the numbers got larger, then you would see that. But it was very rare that you saw 2 Black firefighters in the same station.
So you're sitting out in the lobby or the area. You couldn't sit with the rest of them because you're a probationer. That's the reason. You're a probationer, so you can't eat with them. So after you got off probation, then you were able to eat with them?
No, what happened was there was a guy there that talked to this captain and said, this isn't fair. He should be able to watch the Super Bowl with the rest of it. I could have cared less. they talked him into letting me come in and that day for the Super Bowl. The history of the probationaries eating out at the desk was that you were near the phone and the vocal arm. So if we got a call, you were able to answer the phone, press the vocal arm, and activate the system. So it it wasn't all just discriminatory. It was, I was the new guy, and these were kind of the things you had to do.
Okay, so initiation, this is how you break in. We all went through this.
Yeah.
Okay, so there wasn't many blacks. Were there many browns? Were there females? Were there other groups that were kind of discriminated against?
There were a number of Hispanic firefighters, brown firefighters, and at that time they had a rule too that you had to be a certain height in order to be a firefighter, which made no sense, which eliminated a lot of Hispanic firefighters. And I think you had to be 5'8", something like that, in order to even take the test. So they had these little ways of discriminating against people, but not saying, just out and out, we don't want you on the job. So we had to overcome those things. And that's one of the reasons that we had to establish the Colorado Black Professional Firefighters, is because our numbers were so small, we needed to band together because we were going through some of the same challenges at different houses. So that made a difference in supporting people to stay with the job, not get discouraged by some of the incidents that they would go through. And then there was an International Association of Black Professional Firefighters. And to this day, they still are. To answer your question about women, in that day, there were 0.
Wow. Zero women.
0 women. I think it was 1985 that the first woman came on the job. And as a matter of fact, we just had the first African-American woman firefighter in Denver. She just retired after 25 years.
Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, 25 years. So she probably been through a few things herself.
I would imagine so.
Okay, well, sir, we come up, we have the court trial, we have all these hurdles and things we have to go over. What actually kind of got you into the chief position? Or were there any kind of incidences or any kind of calls that you were on that kind of stuck out, so that if anybody's listening to this, I'm sure it's not all glamorous?
No, not by a long shot.
Well, it's good that we have a diversity in our department, because a lot of times, like, you could go to a Hispanic family, a black family, and not really understand what they're saying or what they're talking about. Have you ever ran across a situation where maybe your counterparts didn't understand an individual, or you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. I got a good example. We had an incident, I think it was a 25th and down, and we responded to an elderly black woman that was up in her room, and she was in the bed and really agitated. She was really a diabetic and really going into a diabetic coma. And she was agitated, getting more and more agitated. And there were 3 white firefighters, 2 white paramedics, and me as a black firefighter. And I was able to simply grab some lotion. She said, "I'm ashy, I'm ashy." And she's more and more agitated. "I'm ashy, I'm ashy." I was able to just grab some lotion, rub it on her hands real gently, and she totally calmed down. Now, nobody else in that room understood what she was talking about or how much it meant to her not to be ashy going to the hospital.
Introducing New Me, a very new product for your skin. And oh, for the inside, oh yes, we have something there for you as well. Together, It is a health choice that I'm sure you will enjoy. Check it out. New Me.
It tells me that it's very, very important that the people that are responding, first responders in this city or any other city, understand the cultures of the people they're responding to. And you need that diverse group of individuals to understand and even seek out. You know, if I'm not a Hispanic firefighter, maybe I know somebody that understands the culture and can help me. So it's just important that we have a diverse group of individuals responding to emergencies in our city.
I agree.
There, over a 29-year career, there were a lot of incidents where they may not have been the kind that made the news, but they were incidents that were significant to that family or that area and to the firefighters that responded to them. I was talking about an incident that we had where it was a significant fire, and we were able to get part of the family out of the building. But there was one elderly lady that was not able, we were not able to get her out of the building, and didn't find her body until we were really in the process of overhauling. So those kind of things made an impact. And the other thing that made an impact was anytime that children were involved. Those were always the kind of responses that, you know, stuck with you, because I had kids at that time, and you know, we were responding to incidents where children were impacted severely. So those stuck with you too.
I can't even imagine going through all that you went through, not only the hurdles, but you're actually out there putting your life on the line. Every time that bell goes off, it could be the last bell you hear, not just for the people you're going after. So it's not like something that, to me, it would be easy to do or to get up to go through every day. It takes a certain type of mental and physical ability or something.
Yeah, I think it does. I really think it does. But you know what? I think that one of the things that I always refer to is the history of Black firefighters in Denver. And the first Black company, fire company, was in 1896. And that company was established as a result of the Black community supporting an individual for election. And he had promised that he would establish a Black fire crew. So from that time in the late 1800s until actually 1957, the fire department was segregated. And those Black firefighters, they went through quite a bit. And I know that I stand on the shoulders of those individuals that paved the way, and they really did. So the other part of that too is that there were a number of Black firefighters that died in the line of duty that were from Station 3. There was a St. James Hotel fire in, I believe it was 19, I'm not sure exactly when it was, the early 1900s. And then there was a auto accident where two fire crews ran together. Station 3 was involved in that. And there were 3 Black firefighters killed in that. So those Black firefighters really gave the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives in the line of duty. And so thinking about those kinds of things were significant to me, and knowing that I stood on the shoulders of those individuals to be able to represent the fire department as the fire chief.
Well, you definitely went through some things to get here, to get this appointment. And speaking of these things, how is it that you got this appointment? What catapulted you into this position?
It's competitive testing in the Civil Service Commission or civil service jobs, fire, police, sheriffs. You take those competitive tests. You're placed on a eligibility list based on where you scored on those tests. And the tests involve a written test, an oral interview, background investigation, again, looking at your career. And then you're placed on the list. And as openings become available, you're appointed to those openings. So I took the test for lieutenant. I actually took the test for engineer. Never got promoted to engineer because the openings never came.
Yeah, right. Okay.
No, that's true.
It never came. I mean, the openings never came.
I was too low on the list.
Okay. Okay.
So it was engineer, lieutenant. I was promoted to lieutenant, captain, assistant chief, division chief, and I ran 5 of the 6 divisions in my career. And then I was promoted by Mayor Wellington Webb to the position of chief of department under Wellington E. Webb.
Okay, now we know that Wellington Webb was our first mayor, and he was our first auditor, first Black mayor and Black auditor. We did get into where you are with school and all that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to throw that out there, but because, you know, me personally, I came in on a boat, you know what I'm saying? When I was coming down, I was on a boat, but I was an angel. But the names you mentioned, would you tell us a little bit about the boats?
Okay, the Thunderbolts, the mighty Thunderbolts.
Okay, you had to rub
but
it
anyway,
in.
on my swearing-in ceremony, Wellington Webb, who appointed me, was a Thunderbolt. Judge Bo Patterson, who was the presiding judge, was a Thunderbolt, and he was appointed by Wellington Webb too.
Okay.
And then myself as fire chief, and Bo Patterson swore me in as fire chief. Thunderbolts all the way through.
I'm gonna have to take my hat off to the Thunderbolts. I mean, for real, we, you know, the Angels and Thunderbolts, we came through together, so we might as well get along after all this time. But that is something to really talk about that there. What's the difference between like an assistant, was a department chief and a division chief? Or
an assistant chief is the ones that you see that respond to the fires. They're in the little cars that follow the fire trucks.
Oh.
That's an assistant chief, and they're in charge of a district. A district could be the northeast quadrant of Denver.
Okay.
So that's an assistant chief. A division chief is in charge of a division, and the divisions were operations, fire prevention, training, administration, airport, and technical services. So a division chief is over those divisions. And then there's a deputy chief. Now there's a deputy chief. And then there's the chief of the department who's over everything.
Okay. Well, I have learned a lot about firefighters here these last couple of weeks. I mean, the history of it. And sir, if there was anything that you would like to share with a individual that might be thinking about being a firefighter, someone thinking about being a firefighter, going through what you've been through, knowing And before you really answer that, can you also just get a little bit on the statistics of Blacks compared to the overall fire department so that people will get a sense of, you know, just really what they're up against and be prepared mentally for what they have to go through?
I don't know the exact statistics, but I do know that between 1896 and 1957, the Denver Fire Department was segregated, and Black firefighters could only work at Station 3, which was in the Five Points area. In 1957, they integrated. At that time, they were about, I think, 5 to 6% of the department. And then in probably the 80s, after the recruitment was taking place, it probably went up to maybe 9%. Don't quote me on the number.
I understand.
I'm absolutely sure. But I think now that it's probably less than that. And our numbers are dwindling. And I think it's important that we're a part of the response teams that go on emergencies in this city, because the departments that are responding should reflect the community as a whole. And I would say for somebody trying to get into fire services to find out what you're getting into, because it's not for everybody, and be patient, because you are going to have to go through written tests, physical agility tests, background investigations, medical tests, and then you're going to be put on a waiting list. And as they hire firefighters, you'll be selected off that waiting list. But it can take an extended period of time. You really have to be committed to wanting this job. And I would encourage them too to get in touch with a firefighter, visit a fire station, because then you can find out, you know, what's going on today. In the long run, it is a great career. It pays well, great benefits, great time off. There are so many benefits to this career. And had I not been in the fire service, I think I would have really missed out, because I look forward to going to work every single day. And it was always a challenge, always rewarding. And in the fire service, the one thing that I think is really unique is that you have a project to do, and you're sent out on that project. And when you're done, you have made the difference in somebody's life. So it's that self-gratification almost on a daily basis, which keeps you motivated and keeps you encouraged about doing the best job you can.
Well, sir, again, I do thank you so much for taking this time, coming on Where Were You, and sharing this story of yours. And hopefully, if you come up with something else, come back again.
I will, and thank you so much. I do appreciate the opportunity, and it's been a pleasure.
Okay. Well, another episode of Where Were You? And we would like to thank our guests for this evening. Also want to thank New Me. New Me helps sponsor Where Were You? So go on and check it out. New Me /Arkway. Also, go on and hit that like. Go on and hit subscribe. Go on and hit that share. Go on and leave a comment. And if you find anyone that has a story, let me know. And hey, you bless someone today.